I think that one of the things that I have got out of this is it's so important to collaborate on so many levels. And we saw so many opportunities of people engaging with each other and moving forward. So thank you to our wonderful panelists, and thank you for our moderator. We're trying something different this time because we wanted to ensure that our panels had the full hour. And so we're now going to start question and answer section. I hope some of you have put questions in the feed that we had put. If not, we have one of the microphones somewhere, which I will take from the stage. And if you have a question, please put your hands up and we'll bring you the microphone. And our speakers are in the audience and they can answer the questions.
So thank you. Let's start with our dialogue. Now what we want to do with Nicola is to basically collect the wisdom from you, from the room, the collective wisdom. I actually didn't introduce myself, but my name is Elise Buckle. Just call me Elise. I've worked for many years as a climate diplomat at the UN, as a climate activist as well, building bridges between the inside and the outside of the system. I'm also a social entrepreneur. I founded Climate Bridges, She Changes Climate, and She Builds Bridges. And we have been actually moving forward with a new narrative now, which is about she builds bridges, but also he builds bridges. And together, we build bridges for climate action. We really feel that as we're facing this climate emergency, we have to overcome the divides, the north-south divides, the gender divides, and work as one family, as one team for one Earth. So our DNA is about radical collaboration. It's something we share very deeply with Giving Women. So we're very, very pleased to be here with Atalanti and her team. It's about all of us working as one team for one planet. And so this is why I'm really, really happy to be facilitating this closing together with my brother Nicola. And actually my real brother's name is also Nicola. Nicola is going to be our wizard, our magician. He's been listening to the whole day, taking notes, and he will also be listening to your questions and your comments in this dialogue and sharing some reflection at the end of it. Nicola, maybe you want to say who you are before we keep going.
Yes, thank you very much, Elise, and it's wonderful to be here with you today. Such an incredible afternoon listening to all of you. Epictetus, the Greek philosopher, once said that we have 2 ears and 1 mouth, and it's to listen twice as much as we speak. Very rarely has it been more pleasant to listen deeply to all of you. So thank you very much for your wisdom, for your ideas, for your energy, for your passion. This is absolutely brilliant. Elise, I grew up with 2 brothers, and you fulfilled the dream of mine to have a sister. So that's just wonderful. You already made my day. So that's the first point. Thank you so much for having me up here. You spoke about building bridges. I think it's absolutely essential. When I describe myself, I usually do not use titles because they do not really say much about what you do. And I come up with sort of 3 professions that qualify me. And the first, in fact, that I always come up with is bridge builder. I have been doing this in between cultures, in between adversaries as a diplomat for a long time. And I do now do it when it comes to creating these multi-stakeholder alliances to get us moving forward around the climate, but also nature and biodiversity challenges that we face. The second qualification is translator. Because while we essentially speak about the same issues, depending where we come from, whether we are from the public or private sector, from diplomacy or from business, from finance, from somewhere else, public, the ONG, the NGO world, we sometimes do not use the same words. And I think translating is very, very important. I know you do this amazingly as well, Elise. And then I think I cannot sort of escape the third qualifier, which is midwife. I think that the power of a midwife is incredible, because it's not just about talking the talk, it's about walking the walk. And this is really, really the key here. We want to transform all of these great thoughts into actionable pathways. We have to lift the world. We have to create energy that is not just linear. We have to get into the realm of the exponential. We have to go into unorthodox solutions. So we need midwives. Elise, back to you. Thank you so much.
So much for this beautiful image, because women also give birth, and with the support of men and doulas as well. And today what we'd like to do as well is, again, it's also a story of life. Many seeds of hope have been planted today, and we want to see now with you if we can cross-fertilize this ecosystem, this beautiful community that Atalanti has been shaping for us, and see if we can turn these seeds into beautiful flowers, beautiful blooming flowers of action. So before we do that, because we're going to be moving around with the mic, we want to hear your voice. We're just going to take 1 minute of reflection. You've heard so much today, so let's just close our eyes for a minute and just feel really grounded. So you're welcome to, if you want to feel more comfortable, you can even take your shoes off. I'm going to do that actually. So you can really actually connect to the earth. And close your eyes, and as it's been suggested to us today, really try to visualize our beautiful planet Earth. Imagine that you're really seeing the Earth from the sky, from the space, and really focus on that planet Earth. And you can put one hand on your heart just to feel this amazing love we all share for the earth. And just trying to see also that all of us are the earth, we are part of the earth, all of us here. And feel your feet really grounded on the earth. And now you're going to breathe in very deeply and feel this energy from the earth. And then breathe out. And just let go all your worries. Just like clouds, let them escape and evaporate into the sky. And one more time, you just breathe in the energy from the earth. And just breathe out. Let go all the clouds. And one last time. Breathe in very deeply. And then breathe out. And now you're going to open your eyes, but very gently. And just remove all the labels. Forget about your title, your organization. You're just here as yourself, as a human being. And we want to hear your voice as a human being first. Look at the people around you. Good. So I think we're ready now. Are you ready, Nicolas?
I am super ready.
Okay. So now we're going to come to you, and we basically wanted to shape that as a dialogue. So it's more than questions and answers. It's actually about you asking questions, but also responding to the questions you hear from your peers in the room. So obviously the panelists are welcome to contribute, but also anybody in the room, I'm sure, has some wisdom to share. So, and we're going to take questions, once on the left side, and then the next time on the right side, so we're going to alternate. And we really, really count on you to make it as fun as possible. So, shall we start?
It's upstairs also, above.
Oh, wonderful. We have also people harvesting the seeds of hope up there.
Amazing.
All right. Who wants to start then? I think Elena, is Elena here? Eliana? You want to start?
I think that Megan had a few questions that she had put onto the group.
Is Christina here? Because she told me to write them.
All right, so the other side there.
All right, here we go.
Yeah, thank you. Yeah, my question or my kind of reflection is listening to all these fantastic examples from today, is whether at scale we have the right metrics of success. And by that I mean sort of at a global level, at a GDP level, or I come from the private sector, so at a corporate level, we're measured on P&L, we invest as well, we're an investor. We have, we have a sustainability goals, but we're enslaved by the yoke of returns. So are our metrics correct? I would say not. But in my mind, unless we redefine how we value success at all of those levels, at an economic level, a GDP level, at a corporate private sector level, and at an individual level, what our own definitions of success, and kind of make that kind of collective definitions of success, we're always going to be striving to do very good work at niche levels, but not at scale. So that's my reflection, stroke question, stroke challenge.
Is there anybody who's ready to answer that?
Yeah,
Sounds quite, yes. Oh, I also forgot to tell you about a couple of rules for this dialogue. Number one, full presence. I think all of you are really fully present, so that's wonderful. I see no phone, no laptop. Authenticity, really speaking the truth, what is true for you in the present moment. For everybody else, listening with empathy, without judging. And number four, we're also asking you to think about how do we turn this collective wisdom into action. We really want to finish the day with also calls for action. So, so anybody wants to answer that and also think about the action? Yes, Laurence.
Sorry, I have the mic.
Here we are.
Okay, so 1 and 2.
Okay, do you want me to stand up? Or?
Yes.
Yeah. Should I go or should I?
So, I don't know if any of you have seen the movie The Matrix. It's an old movie, so. And in the movie, it's this dystopian future, and there's a choice. The protagonist has a choice. You remember the red pill or the blue pill? And I think someone mentioned earlier today that the system is broken, but I actually don't think it's broken. I think the system just responds to the signals we give it, the controls we give it. And the controls we give it are, I work in the food system. In the food system, the true value, the true cost of foods that we choose to consume, the health externalities are not picked up. The environment externalities are not picked up. So the true cost of food is completely hidden. We continue to take the blue pill, which is blissful ignorance, and we don't take the red pill, which is the gruesome reality of where we are. And I think the sooner we can begin to adopt more pricing, I don't know if this is what you had in mind, but as soon as we can begin to adopt pricing that reflects the true cost of the food choices we make, we won't get there. Now, the solution is there are small retailers in different countries, certainly in Europe I've seen, which show the true cost of food to consumers, and then they contrast those with the price they're charging, and they say to the consumers, you can pay for the real cost, or you can pay for the price you normally would pay. I think they find about 5 or 10% of the consumers do pay the true cost, which is quite high. I'm surprised, but I think we need more examples of using the true cost of food in my sector, but it's the same in any sector, before we can really fix climate, I think.
Just to say, I think it's an excellent question, and I'm very much aligned with you. I think we need to be better in pricing. I do not think we have the right metrics, but there are lots of efforts going on at the moment, really thinking about the right metrics. How can you go beyond kind of the you know, in the climate action space, carbon metrics only? So how can you be reflecting the true implications, impacts? And again, particularly on the gender side, there are some standards that are evolving. There's the W+, there is 2X is working on some. I think as a concrete action, we'd be very happy to help connect different efforts that are out there and see how we can really help actually mainstream those. But I think the metrics are not there. There are some frameworks, but I think we need more, and we need to connect the ones who are working on that.
Thank you. Really beautiful scenes.
Thank you very much.
Is there, Nicolas, shall we move up there? See if there are questions up there.
Sure.
Can you hear me? Is it on? Okay. Joanna Boyd from Green Lamp. I'm also chair of the Swiss ICAW Chartered Accountants Association for Switzerland. I was at dinner the other night. It was very interesting with some of the heads of the financial industry here in Switzerland. They have suddenly realized that the equations are not adding up and that we are so vastly behind in climate response that actually it's going to be the role of the institutes, the climate bodies and the governments to really force change through on business. Because until business responds to that or is forced to acknowledge the problems that they're creating, we're basically putting a sticky plaster on the problem constantly. So the good news is, sitting with these business leaders the other night, they are finally getting the message that we are so well behind on our climate transition goals that they're waking up to the problem. Okay, thank you.
So we have a competition here for questions, which is great. Elise. Yeah.
Is it okay if I go?
Who is it?
Thanks.
Okay, I just want to issue a challenge that perhaps we can move beyond just looking at pricing, because then we're just enslaved not by returns but by the economists who work things out and make assumptions. I've been one for my whole life, so I know. And is that really creating the answer? Maybe we can think, I'm not saying we shouldn't look at prices, but we should recognize that it's based on a lot of kinds of assumptions and things, which it makes it vulnerable to misinterpretation and also to different perspectives. But we should also take responsibility ourselves. This is about individuals. It's not just about business over there. Let's just think all of us. When did we last buy a new smartphone? Was it a fair phone? Or has it used a lot of things that it shouldn't use? When did we last buy new clothing? Well, let's think about fast fashion then. Let's take individual responsibility. I think there is much, much more that can be done. Businesses respond to consumers, that enabling consumers to make responsible choices. I work for an organization that talks about wild harvesting plant ingredients with my good friend Zara Osman here. And we realize that just helping consumers to understand and know what choices they're making and the import of those choices is a more powerful driver than simply changing the price. That's all. Little challenge.
Sophie Pelka from Giving Women and Gift. I don't have a question actually, but I have one remark and one call to action. My remark is to thank the amazing panelists and moderators for giving me hope. I've given birth to 4 children in full confidence of the planet we live in. That confidence has gone down. I live in the mountains. I'm at the front seat of climate change up there. And thank you, because today I feel my anxiety has come down. And I see that so many people are on top of things, and it's great. My call to action is linked to something Omegano said about good funding. So I'm fairly new to the philanthropy world, but my core funding principle was
unrestricted long-term funding. And I was very happy because everyone was talking about it, so I thought, okay, I got something right. And actually, nobody is really walking the talk. And I'm encouraging other foundations to actually do it, because it's the best way we can help organizations
Recording in progress.
Okay, here we go. It's the best way we can actually help organizations, you know, do their mission, because the knowledge is on the ground, and let them do it. Just give them the resources to do it.
Thank you very much.
Yeah. I just want to get back to what Deborah said and what Lauren said, because I actually don't think it's an either or. I think it's a both. Because I think the issue of pricing is really important as well, because the money's not going to the producer. We are not supporting the people on the ground that are growing the coffee and are growing. So I think that is an important part that we need to take into account. But I also agree with Deborah that we also have responsibility as consumers to actually walk the talk. So I'd like to say, I think both.
I wanted to propose a solution as...
Oh, yes.
Sorry.
Do we have just one or two questions up there? One, okay.
Yeah, I just wanted to add to this. We had talked before the conference about creating a vision, and with the first question that was, I believe, asked is, are we measuring the right things? Another solution we have is just education. Unfortunately, I work in education, and for instance, imagine how you learned about economics. So if economics is how we meet human needs and wants within planetary boundaries, it's thinking about how our system is designed. So it's yes, it's markets and pricing, but it's also personal accountability. And I think these things are happening because instead of having to unlearn as adults, we actually have an opportunity to engage young people now, and they're interested in new ways of thinking about how we redesign our systems. So I was very inspired to hear so many of the stories today, and I do think as we move the conversation forward, like just remembering that education piece and equipping young people with the tools to move things forward is a really important part of all of this.
When I was hearing all the discussion about pricing, it occurred to me that one of the big incentives in getting farmers to change and be more sustainable is funding their, or speaking to their livelihoods and increasing their livelihoods. And why am I saying that? As like the way Atalanti was saying about funding the person on the ground. And I'd want to give a local perspective. One of the ways that really hurt me as a farmer is a middleman. Because they come, they pay us, you know, that cheap prices, and then they make a huge markup on what we plant. And that really, really hurts me. So I think the model funders should start thinking about is beyond resourcing, table banking, and giving grants to small groups to be able to, you know, do small initiatives. Harness that structure, because it's there in Africa. We are in small groups, all of us, as women and even as farmers. Harness that and form them into bigger cooperatives. For the bigger cash crop sectors, that has worked for the tea and the coffee. And let's give the power and amplify the voices of the women and the farmers down there. Because if they can get into cooperatives, they can get a bit more money, they can create, they can invest in more value add for themselves, and that shortens the value chain, shortens the route to market. So these women then are able to repackage, like the pigeon peas I was talking about, package it, brand a slogan on it, get a machine that does basic sorting and cleaning and packaging, and then get it to the supermarket, and that cuts out the middleman. So those are the kind of solutions that I think will make a change, because then that becomes an incentive to a farmer and a woman to then, you know, grow, get it to the cooperative. They don't have to worry about storage. Somebody is also taking the product to them for market, because the cooperative will have a structure. And I think those are the kind of solutions that can make a bigger impact and create a bigger incentive for sustainable climate practices.
Thank you so much.
Maybe here on this side first, and just really also, if you want to share some action that you're going to take yourself as an individual or as a team or as an organization, also as a result of what you've heard today? That would be wonderful to share.
Thank you. If I were to walk on today, I will take this expression on funding, which was long-term, trust-based, and not complicated. I love not complicated because I'm a true thinker of localization of aid, on the fact that we should directly connect to the ones that are the first responder, who are on the fields and who have the needs and who have the knowledge, and we have the willingness to do the things. But at the same time, the ones who have the money wants to monitor and control. And there's so much reporting which is asked that today, even when we as an NGO work with local partners and want to support them, the thing is that at the end of the day, we ask them for lots of metrics and reports that they don't have the means to control. And also, in these trust-based things that we should have in mind when we speak about funding, we have the right to fail. So everyone is always speaking about impact, measuring, okay, but sometimes we fail. And so thank you very much for giving, and I'm looking at you because you are the one telling that, but this trust, we really need to find a way to connect and get this opportunity to trust, and also to be less complicated in our expectations for people to make their own experience and success too. Thanks.
I'm just going to go to that side because I know there are quite a few questions there and you're taking notes.
Yes.
Oh, okay, there are two questions.
Do you want to go ahead?
Yes, so it's related to the first intervention about metrics, and I think one solution could be to give a seat to nature by using and mainstreaming the ecosystem services approach, which is already used, but which I think is a huge potential to align with our planet.
Thank you very much.
Just a comment to build on, I think, what you said, which is, I think, really important about the language. Somebody else was talking about how important the language is. So when you work with human beings and when you work with nature, there is no failure. There's learning. And we need to stop branding it as failure when it doesn't go the way we anticipate it should or might. And we really need to settle ourselves in, we are learning, we respond, the job is never done, there's not a failure, it's not like you're going to close up shop and stop working with those communities. It is simply a process of learning, and our donors, supporters, investors need to come with us on that journey. And as long as that's respectful and open and transparent and we can have those conversations, I think great things happen. I've seen that firsthand.
Thank you.
Nicola, shall we ask also to, there's another question.
Hi, so I don't have a question or an answer. What I have is a wondering. Y'all remember that country which had the measurement thing using happiness? I forgot what it was. Yes, that's it. Should the measurement that we use for climate change and include love and spirituality, and not just the things which are so material? That was the wondering.
Well, I'm going to come down to earth with a word that we haven't heard very much today, but just suddenly popped into my mind. The word is waste. We've wasted an enormous amount of the resources of our planet. We waste ideas by trying to reinvent the wheel. We waste opportunities. Markets like lack of waste. It's just a challenge. Should we be focusing a bit more on not wasting in all its definitions?
Do you want to respond?
This is so rich. I wish I could see all of you. I don't know how to make myself position myself. Thank you. Please excuse me for 2 seconds. I'm going to PhD a little bit. How did the system that we have today come into being? A pandemic started the system. The bubonic plague started the system that we have today. Did you know that? The bubonic plague, the Black Death was one of the deadliest waves of the bubonic plague, is one of the causes of the downfall of the feudal system in Europe. The rise of empire and the beginning of colonization and the Atlantic slave trade. The bubonic plague ushered in a system that has been in function for 700 years. It is no longer meeting the needs and exigencies of this day and age. How do we let a system die? This system that we created is disintegrating. Let's not prop it up. As Laurent said, this system isn't broken. It is designed this way. We have something in scholarship that we call epistemic violence. Have you heard this? Epistemic violence. We've heard some glimmerings of hope today. We are slowly seeing the forces of domination, the thinking that this is only a rock spinning through space, where we have the audacity to think that we can somehow create a process where there is just enough sacrifice for financial gain. What we have achieved is almost utter destruction of our mother planet. I'm not saying this as hyperbole, right? We talked about radical connection, radical collaboration. What about that connection to our planet? I was in Eastern India with the Adivasi communities, and an elder came to me and said, "When was the last time you were breastfed by your mother?" I was like, "Excuse me?" Rather personal question. And she said, "Not your birth mother, your earth mother. When was the last time you were breastfed by that earth mother? Do you know how to grow food? Do you know what your mother needs?" And then she pointed to a field and she said, y'all meaning Westerners, had a meeting out here sponsored by one of the banks or institutions of the old world system. Look at the waste that you generated. You think that's development? We use banana leaves. We don't have waste in our land. We know how to take care of our mother. Then she dragged me to a monoculture field. And she said, "Touch my mother. Touch her. Do you feel life in my mother here?" And then she dragged me. It didn't feel like life. It felt like dirt. Then she dragged me into her forest. First, the temperature changed. Second, she said, "I want you to close your eyes. I don't want you to know where I'm going to take you. Because you people come and you patent things. These are my people. This is my seed that we have planted and we have cultivated for thousands of years because agriculture is my culture. I don't want your agribusiness. I want you to respect my culture." Took me in her field. I smelled, with my eyes closed, this tree that was a combination of rose, tangerine, vanilla. I kept wanting to look up. I'm allowed to see this flower. She's like, "Nope, you're not allowed." And I'd been suffering a migraine because I hadn't had coffee that day. So she gave me this concoction that she took out of the tree, stuffed it in my mouth. "Just eat it, you'll get better." She wouldn't tell me what it was because she rightfully so is afraid of us. And she said to me, "Please go back and tell the people. We have the knowledge. You don't agree that it's knowledge. We have the evidence and the science. You don't agree that that's evidence and science. So y'all go, do your thing, fund your things, but then you're going to come back to us because at the end of the day, we know how to heal our mother." So when Russell says, "Where is love and spirituality?" to me, when we say that radical connection, connecting to our indigenous sisters and brothers who have been screaming for thousands of years, let us heal our mother. Listen to us. A pandemic started the system, and this pandemic that we are still going through is showing the fissures. You are seeing the last grasp of a dying old system and people stepping up to try to hold it up. Let it die. Let's listen to the voices that were on the stage. I'm so incredibly excited by these passionate voices, local voices, women's voices. Thank you for letting me PhD you. I appreciate you.
Let's do a pause and then I give the mic to you to... Thank you, sister. It was so powerful. I think everybody was listening to you with their eyes, their heart, their mind. We're going to take just 1 minute of pause to integrate what you've just said and also to just physically connect to the earth right now under our feet. One more time before we close for real. So thank you so much for that. So Nicolas, our brother, now you have the challenging task of summarizing what you've heard. What is the kind of collective wisdom that is emerging from today? You want to go here? Yes.
Okay. So this is obviously mission completely impossible, especially after this unbelievably powerful speech here. Now, Elise, you challenged me and told me I should try to be some sort of a magician. Clearly, I haven't gone to Hogwarts, so that's the first thing. But I'll remind you that essentially magic is not necessarily having a trick. Magic is having a story to tell. Because when you think about it, it's as much, or if not more, in the story than in the trick. And my story, after listening to all of you this whole day, is a story of shifting tectonic plates. And it starts essentially on the way, before I even heard all of your powerful voices, the story started while gliding to Les Salons, where we are. 2 streets from here, there is a street called Rue Horace Bénédicte de Saussure. Horace Bénédicte de Saussure is the first human being to have climbed Mont Blanc. So you might think, what the hell is he talking about here? What's the story? I mean, first of all, as a magician, I was sort of gliding through the street on my flying carpet, which essentially is my foldable bike, but that's the way I call it. And while thinking about Horace Bénédicte de Saussure and sort of visualizing the Mont Blanc, suddenly I had this thought about the fact that 200 million years ago, this was not a mountain. This was an ocean floor. And then tectonic plates shifted, and it elevated the ocean floor and created the magnificent mountain we now see. And this reminded me of both the physical and metaphorical mountains that we must climb. De Saussure, to come back to him, he didn't just look at the Mont Blanc. He saw an opportunity.
he saw possibility where everybody else was seeing impossibility. Just as he faced the challenge of scaling those daunting heights, we too stand before enormous challenges, challenges that offer us a unique chance to reshape our future, to do our own shift of the proverbial tectonic plate. Like this ancient ocean that lifted Mont Blanc, we have the potential to elevate the world through bold, transformative thinking, and most importantly, action. And it's through these forces of pressure, collision between systems that we just spoke about here, and upheaval that entirely new landscapes can be formed. And there is, frankly speaking, I think we heard it so many times today, an incredible urgency that we are facing. This is literally a few seconds before midnight. We've lived under the illusion that we could control nature, bending its cycle to our will. But now we are awaking to the full consequences of our action. 6 of the 9 planetary limits have been overshot, and we are on a trajectory to go way beyond 1.5 degrees. The Paris Agreement was mentioned a few times today. Very clearly, if you listen to science, we are very clearly moving way above, and that has very significant consequences. The ground beneath us is shifting, and what once seemed solid is essentially giving way. We are standing on the, to stay in the mountain image, we are standing on the edge of the proverbial cliff, and avoiding it, the gloom and doom scenario that Atalanti wanted to avoid at the beginning when you opened this conference, Atalanti, avoiding this gloom and doom will require immense resilience, adaptation, and anti-fragility, and the ability to grow stronger through adversity. And naturally, and this is probably the one most important thing that I'm going to say here, naturally, it will require to much better count on, and this is the mother of tectonic shifts we have to see, we have to empower the amazing better half of humanity, woman, much better. So time has come to confront the scale of our crisis with clarity and courage. And if we are brave enough to truly acknowledge the challenges we face, to name the elephants in the room for what they are, then we can transform this polycrisis in a moment of profound change. And this, dear sisters and brothers, partners in net positive crime, is really what should give us hope. And Atalanti, you wanted hope at the start, and here we are. If we dare to shift our mindsets, if we dare to look at different ways to count things, metrics was very much at the heart of some of these thoughts that were shared, we can unleash entirely new ways of solving these challenges. History shows that humanity, when pushed to the brink, has the capacity to trash the rule book, to change the system, and leave orthodoxy and business as usual behind. We have, in moments of crisis, demonstrated an ability to leap beyond the expected and create totally new paradigms. This is the dynamic we need to recreate, and this is very much the challenge we have to face. Don't worry, I'm not going to speak for half an hour, just a few more points. There was so much richness in what you said, so I cannot make it too short. So clearly, where are we with all of this? The crisis. so many of you spoke about the climate crisis. Then there is the biodiversity crisis, the nature loss crisis. All of these are absolutely real, very clearly. But what I would like to sort of drive into this conversation here is that this is perhaps not the biggest crisis of all of them, and the one that essentially holds the key for resolving all of the others. The greatest challenge we face might not be external, but it is essentially lying within us. The biggest crisis today is possibly not just climate change or biodiversity, but rather a crisis of human capacity, of will and mobilization. It's a crisis of our collective imagination. For too long, we have been paralyzed by divisions, by forces that took away our agency. We just spoke about this right before. And this has essentially disallowed us to generate the type of bold, unified, and transformative response that the existential threats, physical threats we are facing do demand. Mary Robinson said it very clearly when she spoke at the opening. She said, "We are the majority, but we are not yet connected enough." So just to come back to the story of the mountain, just as the tectonic forces shape mountains, so too can we, hopefully, unleash these forces and shape the future, notably by leveraging the immense power of collective action. You all are already leading the way. We need everybody on deck. And another theme here is really how can we push the boundaries way beyond this room. And this brings me, and this is the conclusion I'm going to come to the words of Japanese poet Rinosuke Sataro. He said, "Individually, we are one drop. Together, we are an ocean." And our story, the one I try to tell as the magician here, that I'm not, is the story started with the ancient ocean of Tethys 200 million years ago. And hopefully it can end with the ocean we can create. The ocean we can create, I'm just having to find my notes here, the ocean we can become, a vast collective force capable of shaping the future, of shaping new systems. Only by identifying the key systemic leverage points beyond all of the exceptional things that you all do, will we be able to leverage all of our strengths and unleash this power to be extraordinary. By finding the courage to collaborate, to imagine boldly, and to act with resolve, can we unlock the immense potential we hold as a community. So, Elise, I was bound to disappoint you, because I'm not a magician. There is very little magic here. In fact, the magic is all in the room and with you, not with me. So the only thing that essentially I have to leave you with is an advice, very humble advice. Continue to be bold, continue to think differently, and to lead fearlessly. Together, we can scale new heights, create new possibilities, and hopefully build a future that's not only sustainable, but thriving, not just for us, but for the many others. These are my conclusions. Thank you.
Thank you, Nicola, and please stay here, stay with us. And I think you invited us to be bold, and it's a big mountain to climb. One mountain we want to climb with all of you this year is called, very down to earth, the Finance Initiative. Maybe some of you know there's going to be a citizens initiative here in Switzerland to try to shift financial flows from fossil fuels to renewable energy. And so there will be an open letter. We are hoping to get more than 100 women leaders supporting this finance initiative for people and the planet. And we will meet again, and hopefully we will do that with Giving Women just before International Women's Day in Geneva and Zurich, because the financial sector in Switzerland is responsible for 14 times more emissions than the population of Switzerland. So for those of you who are visiting us, we're a small country, but with very big impacts if you look at the scale of the investment abroad. And we want to change that. And it's a big mountain. We can only climb with you and with everybody on board. Thank you so much. Now I want to invite Atalanti, but also Caitlin and the team that has been working so hard.
I'd like to say a few thank yous and then...
Well, we want to thank you first, Atalanti, in a way. Because I think Atalanti...
This is called a takeover.
Atalanti, you are so humble. You are so humble, and I want to tell you as a friend also, in a way, I see you very much as Mother Earth. You are really a mother. You are a mother to so many of us here. And I know you've been helping so many women around the world, and today is also a way to celebrate your life. Everything you have given to all these women around the world and the energy you have put into this gathering today. So look at all these messages of gratitude. So thank you so much from the bottom of our hearts.
Thank you very much. I was getting up to say, because my name has been mentioned many times today, and this is not Atalanti's conference, it's a Giving Women conference. And to create the Giving Women conference, we were an incredible team of talented, hardworking, tireless individuals. And I was only a small part of that team. I had my job, but each of us did such an incredible job together. And it was fun. It was lots of fun. First of all, I'd like to say an enormous thank you to our moderators and our panels, because you made it and you took time. You're all extremely busy, and I am so grateful on behalf of the whole team for the time, the effort, the thoughtfulness that you put into preparing for these panels. So thank you all so, so much. Of course, an enormous thank you to the Giving Women team. We're a very tiny team. So we have 1.5 employees and a 200-member community. And this could not have happened without... There you go. What about you? No, wait. No, but I want to get the right... The names are all behind you. Yeah. So I would first like to... I'll read the name. So you've been enjoying some incredible food, a beautiful forage decoration, and to follow up on what Marianne said, we have tried very hard to be a no-waste event. So, and that was inspired by our wonderful Anna, who is not only beautiful on the outside, but beautiful on the inside. I would like to also thank, now I have to look, Sonia, who is a very, very committed member of Giving Women, very talented, who who was responsible for the incredible communications and marketing that you saw. I think people think we have this incredible team with thousands of people preparing everything. It's Sonia and Kathleen who do it all, so thank you both. I'd also like to say a big thank you to Estelle. I don't know where she is. Estelle. Who is the second employer of Giving Women and an incredible, wonderful presence. Always calm, always gracious, always wise. Whatever you ask her, it's always done before you ask her. So thank you, Estelle, for being so wonderful. I'd also like to thank Annie, who has just joined us as a stagiaire and has been really, really incredibly hardworking. But last and not least, and who is really the pillar of Giving Women, is Kathleen. So Kathleen joined us as a member many years ago now, and actually digitalized Giving Women. She was the first one to have us have, I think it was, we were doing Twitter then. It was the time of Twitter, so that's how long ago it was. And she got us on Twitter, and she taught us so many things. And then we nearly lost Kathleen because her personal life changed, but we needed somebody to take over the role, which has now become managing director. And we have never looked back. Kathleen has been an incredible force to professionalize Giving Women. And I thank you from the heart, from the deepest corner of my heart. I would like to thank the technical team that are hiding back there. And of course, Les Salons, who have been absolutely marvelous in receiving us. And one more time, I would like to thank our sponsors, Pictet. I would like to thank our private sponsors. I think she might have left, Monica Aguirre and thank you, Mara More. Both of them Mexican, which is really quite extraordinary. I don't know how that happened. And there's one person that I have to thank very, very deeply, and that's Christine Vallier, who has been just extraordinary with her advice, with her positivity, with her connections, with her wisdom, with everything. So Christine, thank you, thank you, thank you. So I would like to pass the floor to Kathleen, our managing director. She never takes on her own. And I actually would like to thank Equinox Investments for always their support. That's my husband.